water governance. It's been recently news. So what is it all about? Let's have a small look at it. Second largest economy by 2047, that is our target. Therefore, we'll require lot of things with respect to energies, with respect to lot of things. But fundamentally, we need to start working upon the other facts of the basic fuel energy, which is nothing but water. So what is it all about? What is the situation? You know, there's a lot of climate change and all that. We have to start working on it. So please remember, second largest second largest economy by 2040. So the use of water resources and water governance. Now please remember this definition. This topic is majorly useful for uh, I don't say it's useful for prelims much, but majorly for mains. Very important, because water conservation and all that very important for your mains, and there's a heavy chance of you being asked a question based on that. So my suggestion is, please have a glance at it. So water governance, the OECD defined, what is the definition of it? OECD definition of water governance is a set of rules, practices and process through which decisions for the management of water resources and services are taken and implemented, and decision makers are held accountable. So that is the definition of water governance. So what are the different practices, rules, and what are the services which are there? Okay. So what is it all about? Who are the people who are involved in this water governance? That's very important. Central as well as local governments, regulators, NGOs, communities, and the private sector. All of them together, it's very important. Now, what is the necessity for this water governance? You know that India is already water stressed, not just because of this, because of climatic regions, because of lot of other things. And the country, due to why, is because of erratic rainfall. What is erratic rainfall? Rainfall which is not proper, which is not regular, and excess removal of groundwater. This is another important point that you have to jot down. So excess removal of this one. So these are the two major points, right? So another problem is data. 30% of the districts received less than normal southwest monsoon, and in 20 out of 32 years. So please remember, for example, if there are 100 units of water which is supposed to fall, only there are a lot of areas where only 30% of rainfall they received. So there's another important data point which is important. So in this slide, most important is who are the actors involved, what is the need, because India is already water stressed, and then what is the data. What, if you remember that, I think that should be sufficient. Moving on, 1.4 billion, and it accounts for 17.5% of the world's population, but it has only 4% of the freshwater resources. So the per capita annual freshwater availability has gone from 5177 to 1486. So please try to understand, the consumption has come down so much. From 5000 units has come down to 1500 units. So there is a huge drop here. So that is what you have to concentrate. So that is please try to understand, this is the per capita annual freshwater availability. So if you just know these numbers are not useful, but try to understand the figures, the percentage. There is a huge decline in the per capita availability. So if you remember that, that's sufficient. Next, what is the significance? If we do water management, the best part about it is it ensures sustainable as well as efficient use of water resources and addresses water related challenges. So the essence of life is water. If water is not there, a lot of things are not there. Therefore, we need to rely on this. Next, it promotes equitable access to water services to address water related challenges, such as what are the water challenges? Scarcity of water, water quality, degradation, and climate change. All these are an important point with respect to your mains. What are the challenges? What are the great challenges with respect to water management? This is very important. So I hope all of you remember these challenges are very important. First is water scarcity, then water quality, then degradation and climate change. All of these things are very important. I hope all of you have understood this part. Next. Now this is important with respect to your prelims. So with respect to water use efficiency, Turkey, UK, Saudi Arabia and India are ranked among the top notch with respect to water use efficiency. Next, river regeneration, Australia, China, France, India, South Africa on the top notch. And climate resilient infrastructure, UK and US. Safe drinking water, Germany, India and Mexico. Water supply augmentation, Saudi Arabia. Efficient water governance, Japan, Saudi Arabia. Water wastewater management, India and Saudi Arabia. Watershed management, Australia and Saudi Arabia. Groundwater management, China and Slovakia. So this is very, very useful for your prelims. Just note down this or take a snapshot of this. This is very, very, very important. I hope all of you have understood. Please have a mention of these. This data is important. So please have a glance at it. That is very useful for your prelims. Next. Now, if you observe, all these countries are fundamentally out of G20. So within the G20 countries, these countries have been performing well, and if you observe, India has been there in almost major things. Water use efficiency, India is there. River regeneration, India is there. Safe drinking water, India is there. And wastewater management, India has been rated as the top notch. I hope all of you have understood. This is kind of very, very important, right? Next. So what are the challenges that we face to do water conservation and water this one? So first is policy problem. Next, data gaps. Data is very, 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 very here and there. We don't have a proper consistent data to discuss things. And other major problem is because data has to be secreted from lot of multiple agencies. So it becomes very difficult to collect constant and informative data. So on that basis, it's very important. Next, looming of water crisis. That's another issue. Absence of river boards. We don't have a river board. Actually, in 1950s only, we thought of 1970s, 80s, we thought of forming a river of board for water. But the problem was it didn't really happen. It didn't, there was no fruitful result out of it. We have an act saying that we must create a water board, but that act has never been implemented. So that is an issue with respect to water boards. So absence of a river board. And the major problem is it's a state issue because water is a state subject. Because water is a state subject, it becomes a federal issue. So you know what happens when it becomes like that. There will be a lot of hindrances which happen, right? So this is all about it. And what should be done to do good water management is cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism is required. That means all the states must cooperate with respect to doing things, and then we must make it much better. Then revamp existing National Water Resource Council. Revamping is building up in a better way. Next, for now only 5 states have the regulators, and we should develop a model water regulatory framework. That's important point. See these exclusively for your mains. Next, restructure CWC, Central Water Commission, and CGW, Central Groundwater Board. So this is another important point that you have to remember for your mains. See, I told you the topic is not about getting into depth of the subject because there's no point of getting in because you're preparing for an examination. Just know all the major points. If you know the major points, that's sufficient for writing a very good answer with respect to water management.